Evelyn, has Isra Shah been able to join from the city attorney's office?
Yes, I'm letting her in now.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
And Commissioner Isiano is in. Okay, we can get started.
Okay, go ahead and call the meeting to order for a planning commission meeting for February 10th, 2021. And if I can have the roll call to order and roll call, please.
Chairperson Jacqueline Lopez.
Present.
Vice Chairperson Nico Isiano.
Present.
Commissioner Eric Ceja.
Present.
Commissioner Christian Rodriguez Ceja is absent. And Commissioner Gloria Franz.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, and at this time, if we can, I guess, have the Pledge of Allegiance, and if Commissioner Ceja would lead us into the pledge.
Sure. Place your hand over your heart and repeat with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. And then if we can get, I'm so sorry, the introduction of staff.
Good evening, Madam Chairpersons and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Leila Nanvar, Senior Planner. Tonight, we have Kevin Snyder, Community Development Department Director, Evelyn Beltran, Secretary, Rosie Lua, Associate Planner, Isra Shah, our Assistant City Attorney that filling in for Zach tonight. And also we have Mark Greenwood, our traffic engineer consultant in tonight's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Leila. And if we can get a statement from our Commission Secretary.
The general rules of courtesy for virtual meetings are as follows. Please be mindful of background noise when joining the virtual meeting. Participants must mute all live streaming devices to avoid playback when speaking. Meeting participants must mute their microphone to help keep background noise to a minimum when they are not speaking. When your microphone is not muted, avoid activities that could create additional noise. Position your camera properly. If you choose to use a web camera, be sure it is in a stable position and focus at eye level if possible. If you will be sharing content during the meeting, make sure you have the files and/or links ready to go before the meeting begins. Members from the public wishing to provide oral testimony must follow the instructions on the agenda and/or online in order to provide public comment for agenda or non-agenda items. Members from the public wishing to provide oral testimony have 3 minutes to provide oral testimony. Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn. And a statement from our City Attorney.
Certainly. Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. There have been no directives issued temporarily halting local government processing of land use and development and review applications and/or consideration of policy actions, including but not limited to general plan amendments, zoning amendments, and new or amended specific plans. Therefore, the City of Indio continues to accept and process applications in accordance with state and local requirements. Also, the City of Indio is following Governor Newsom's executive orders, that's N-25-20 and N-29-20 pertaining to the Brown Act. These executive orders allow governmental entities to conduct meetings by electronic means and for members of the public to observe the meeting electronically, as well as provide public comment or public testimony telephonically or otherwise electronically. Accordingly, the Planning Commission and the City Council in other cases are currently conducting scheduled meetings in a virtual format. The city has implemented technology solutions to allow members of the public to observe and offer public comment as well as public testimony during public hearings at scheduled meetings. The city's committed to providing public participation opportunities while also complying with requirements for the processing of land use and development review applications and/or consideration of policy actions. Madam Chair, I believe you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Do we have any public comment for items not on the agenda?
We do not.
Okay. And we have no minutes as well. Okay. So I guess we'll go ahead to move to public hearing items, which is 8.1. And Frozy? This is the 52 Ranch tentative track map number 37756 and environmental assessment 19-11-545. It's continued from the last meeting from January 13, 2021.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the Planning Commission. Rosie Lua, Associate Planner with the Community Development Department. This is a continued item from January 13th, 2021. It's the 52 Ranch, a tentative track map number 37756, along with an environmental assessment. As you all know, from the last meeting, this site is located east of the Sun City Palm Desert community, and which is Adams Street and north of Avenue 38. It's an undeveloped parcel. At this time, staff is requesting that Planning Commission continue this public item to its regularly scheduled meeting of February 24th, 2021, at the request of the applicant to provide additional time for the applicant and staff to analyze the project. It is also recommended that the Planning Commission open the public hearing and ask for public testimony, but take no action at this time, and continue the public hearing to February 24th, 2021. We have received a new site plan that we are reviewing currently on February 3rd. So it's going to take a bit of time to review that, but pending some feedback from legal, we'd like to continue this meeting to February 24th. And that concludes my staff report.
Thank you, Rosie. And at this time, we'll go ahead and open for public, open the public hearing. Do we have any comments?
For this item, we did not receive any public comments.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and keep it open. Does the applicant have anything they wish to add? Are they present?
They were only present for questions.
Okay.
Do you have them there, Evelyn?
One second, I apologize. They are not available.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, this is Kevin Snyder, Director of Community Development. It would be appropriate to ask the Commission for an affirmative vote to continue the item to the requested date of February 24th. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So do we have a motion to from the Commission to continue this item to the meeting of February 24th to 2021?
I'll make the motion to continue the item as recommended by staff, to continue the public hearing, and to just move it to February 24th, 2021.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a roll call, please.
Chairperson Jacqueline Lopez,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Isiano. We may have lost Commissioner Isiano. Commissioner Ceja,
Yes.
just make sure that Commissioner.
Commissioner Isiano in the chat said yes.
Okay. Motion carries 4-0. Can we take that?
I didn't vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Chair, Commissioner Franz?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item is 8.2, Church at the Red Door. This is environmental assessment 20-05-548, specific plan 20-0540. This is continued from January 27, 2021.
Chair.
And Leila, do you have
Chair,
your
before
report?
Leila starts, do we want to take a moment to see if Commissioner Isiano can reconnect with us?
Yes.
So he doesn't miss the presentation. Sorry to put a momentary halt on. I just want to make sure he's able to be part of this.
I'm back on.
Okay.
Okay, there he is. He's back.
Okay,
Right.
great.
Thank you. Good evening again, Madam Chair and members of the Planning Commission staff. I'm Leila Namvar, Senior Planner. The project, this item before you is Church at Red Door, which includes an environmental assessment, specific plan, which will be the future zoning of the property, tentative parcel map. The applicant is, I apologize. Oh, okay. The light on in my office turned off. Tentative parcel map, the applicant is proposing to subdivide the approximately 13 acres to 2 parcels, conditional use permit to allow a worship center, and design review for the site design, circulation, landscape, and related design matters of the project. I would like to mention that the public hearing has been opened from the last meeting, January 27th, and the project location is on the southeast corner of Avenue 49 and Jefferson Street, as you see on this map, on this aerial vicinity, which surrounded by mainly residential homes, and toward the south on the corner of 50 and Jefferson, there is a shopping center, Citrus Plaza. As you probably studied or reviewed the staff report, the staff has some issues and concerns regarding the specific plan, which has been discussed in the staff report. Since the staff report went out, we've been able to meet with the applicant team, which happened this morning. The city team and applicant team worked closely to go over all those issues, and therefore the applicant will be revising the specific plan and any related exhibits to reflect those revisions. Originally, the staff recommended the project to be continued to March 10. However, the applicant sent us an email this afternoon that they are requesting additional time. So therefore, they want a project to be continued to April 14, 2021. So staff recommends that Planning Commission request the applicant to address the planning concerns that are detailed in the staff report or agenda report. Receive the public hearing. As I mentioned, the public hearing is open since the last meeting, and staff also recommends that the public hearing to be left open and to be continued on the regular meeting of the Planning Commission on April 14, 2021, to provide additional time for the applicant to work on the matters that has been discussed in the staff report. That concludes my staff presentation. I am available to answer any questions that Commission may have. Also, the applicant is here. I believe they would like to give a small presentation to the Planning Commission as well. And we have several public that would like to talk on this item as well.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and reopen it again since it's already been open, correct? For the public comments?
It's been open, so you don't have to reopen it.
Okay. So do we have any public comments?
Madam Chair, would you like to start with the applicant to see if they have something to say?
Yes, I'm sorry.
No worries, no worries.
I'll start. I'm Chris Herman. I was in front of you a couple of weeks ago, and I appreciate your time again this evening. We don't have a formal presentation. We covered a lot of ground last time we were in front of you. We appreciate staff's detailed meeting of over 2.5 hours today to go through the specific plan and point out those items that will help us all deliver a very, very significant and great project for the future of Indio. So I want to thank you again for your patience. We felt like we could get it done, but we were concerned that the timing and trying to turn it in again within a week would cause us to maybe rush and miss some things. So we've deferred to provide more time and more interaction with the staff and really get this thing right. So when we bring it in front of you in April, we hope that you will see the amount of work and questions have been answered that could have been questions during the hearing. So again, we appreciate your service to the community and thanks so much for the time that you spend.
Thank you. So I guess at this time, I go ahead and see if there's any additional public comments.
Yes. And at this time, I will allow Mrs. Susan Bannister in. Give me just 1 second.
Thank you.
Mrs. Bannister, can you hear us? Mrs. Bannister?
I'm here. Here I am.
You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me a chance to speak. My name is Susan Wyndham Bannister, and I live at 80207 Tigris in Desert River Estates. I'm here to speak against the Church at the Red Door project and to respectfully request on behalf of the residents of Desert River Estates and the surrounding communities that the Planning Commission deny this project. I want to speak to concerns that focus on the substantial adverse impact that this is going to have on the environment of the thousands of Indio residents who live along Avenue 49 from Jefferson to Monroe. Webster defines an environment as the aggregate of social and cultural conditions that influence the life of an individual or a community. This church is going to be a dynamic entity. The project has several phases, including auxiliary buildings that support the business functions of the church, and the project identifies numerous uses of the property beyond the Sunday services that will create long-term social and cultural impacts on our surrounding communities. Even at 45,000 square feet, the project proposed is too large and too intense for the corner of Jefferson and Avenue 49th. The redesign of the right turn pocket off Jefferson to add 250 square feet of dual lanes, and the fact that vehicles are going to have to be stacked on Avenue 49 from York to Jefferson proves that the corner can't accommodate the current proposal without significant mitigation. The project also doesn't meet the general plan for southern neighborhoods, which calls for a stable and quiet environment. We need to remember that this is not a community church, it's a global church that aspires to have 2,000 members, most of whom will not be Indio residents. The specific plan requires a permit for outdoor uses over 100 people, and I think a reasonable person can expect that church functions are going to exceed that number. I mean, who's going to enforce the special event permits on an ongoing basis? Our communities are going to have to live with these types of social and cultural impacts. I also think the documents presented by the church are misleading. For example, the noise study states that no roof-mounted air conditioning equipment will be run at night, but we all know that when the temperature is well over 100 degrees, the church is going to have to run air conditioners in its buildings during the evening and night. The church states that they've removed the amphitheater from their plan. They've wordsmithed it instead to call it an outdoor worship center. So I think this is changing words and omitting information. Even the church's own letter to the Desert River community is inconsistent with the City of Indio's notice of public hearings. So I have no doubt that the church at the Red Door will be a wonderful addition to the City of Indio, but not at the corner of Jefferson and Avenue Avenue 49. The project's too large, it's too dynamic. It will place a significant environmental, social, and cultural burden on thousands of Indio residents who live along Avenue 49. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comments?
We do. And at this time, I'll go ahead and allow Becky Smith. Give me 1 second. Mrs. Smith, can you hear us? Mrs. Smith, can you hear us? Oh, Mrs. Smith, can you hear us? Becky Smith? Mrs. Smith, are you there? I've asked her to unmute. I see her here. Mrs. Smith?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear
Okay.
me now? I'm unmuted on my screen.
Yes, we can hear you. You have 3 minutes. You may begin.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair, Planning Commissioners, and staff. My name is Becky Smith. My husband and I live on Avenue 49, about a half a mile east of the proposed church site. When we purchased our property in 1989, it was in the county of Riverside. We worked with the City of Indio to annex Avenue 49 to the city and to create the Country Estates Zone. I served on the Indio Planning Commission for several years. We're very pleased with the way that the Avenue 49 community has developed over the years. We were always concerned about what would be built on the corner of Avenue 49 and Jefferson. With the large frontage on Jefferson, we knew it was highly unlikely that anyone would develop large lots and single-family homes like Desert River and the other communities on Avenue 49. We feared that the property would be developed with another strip mall or shopping center with retail stores and restaurants, similar to Citrus Plaza at Jefferson and Avenue 50. The city adopted its new general plan last year. The property at Avenue 49 in Jefferson was given a new land use designation of connected neighborhood. This would allow an apartment project with 20 units to the acre, a total of approximately 260 apartments. The proposed church will be a much less intensive use than an apartment project or another commercial retail development. From the time the church was initially proposed over a year ago, the plan has been significantly revised to reduce the number and size of the buildings by 60%. In the plan currently before the Planning Commission, over 90% of the property will remain in open space. The traffic impacts from the church will be far less than they would be from an alternative development. The impacts that will occur will be mitigated by new traffic improvements recommended by the independent traffic engineer and agreed to by the church. The church itself will be an iconic building with beautiful architecture and landscaping, something that our Avenue 49 community can be proud of in this prominent location. Finally, my husband and I attend church at the Red Door. We know that the church will be an excellent neighbor and will have a strong positive impact on the community. We urge the Planning Commission to approve the application that you have before you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
We have a few more. So at this time, I'll go ahead and call upon Mr. Dwayne McNett. Give me 1 second while I allow him in. Mr. McNett, can you hear us?
I thought they had to do something with the plan.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, you have 3 minutes. You may begin.
Well, thank you. My name is Dwayne McNett.
Can't see him.
I live at 49521 Canyon View Drive in Palm Desert, and I'm part of the congregation of Church at the Red Door, and am speaking today in support of the church development at 49th and Jefferson. I'm very excited about this project because for several years now, we have been looking to secure a permanent home for our congregation where we can be part of a thriving local community. And being part of a local community, in my mind, means also serving that community. I believe once our church is built and fully functional, there will be many ways that we will benefit and serve the area. I'd like the Planning Commission and all neighbors near the property to know that our goal is not just to be good neighbors, but to be great neighbors. Our church will be a wonderful addition to the community in the western part of Indio. Regarding concerns of neighbors, any new development in a community has the possibility to create concerns, and our project is no different. Our team has worked hard and creatively to respond to the concerns of local residents. Your commission is in possession of our adjusted plans addressing all of those concerns. And I believe that this spirit of cooperation is an indication of the type of neighbors we will be. I look forward to your approval process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next I'll call upon Mrs. Linda Bosjanek. Give me 1 second. Mrs. Bosjanek, can you hear us? Linda?
Yes, hello?
Hi, we can hear you. You have 3 minutes. You may begin.
I don't know what happened to my photo, but I'm sorry about that. Good evening, everybody. I live at 80692 Avenida Santa Marta in Indio, and I'm a very proud resident of Indio. What is joyfully on my heart today is to tell you not so much about the building, but to tell you about the hearts of the congregants of the Church of the Red Door. I'd like to address some of the social and cultural consequences that were brought up by our first speaker respectfully today. When I moved to Indio in 2013, I met a local woman and started to attend her Bible study. That led me to a second Bible study led by Jeff Cranford, also here in Indio. No small Bible study, Jeff had a following that was very loyal. God gave Jeffrey a push, and soon the Church of the Red Door became into his existence. This Christian group of people follows God's word. They are inclusive, they are compassionate, and they are loving. When I heard the church had chosen a site at Jefferson and 49th, I was ecstatic. More than the site and the building, all I could picture and feel was a very large cross right in the center of the Coachella Valley. To me, it opened up all the possibilities of spreading God's love for servicing those in need in the East Valley, a place where we could congregate and work to further build our outreach. This is not to say we couldn't do it anywhere else, but here, right here in Indio, we have a real connection. You speak of connected neighborhoods. We have many, many groups working on outreach in our community. We have the Refuge Pregnancy Center in Indio. We have the births going on at Mama's House. We support Christian schools, Sunday school, Young Life. We work with the Coachella Valley Rescue Mission. We work with the Narrow Door. Our elderly, Alzheimer patients over at Kileo Bay get lots of attention. I was very proud in December to be able to take Christmas gifts out to children in India whose parents may have a parent incarcerated. Recently, I became coordinator of our food initiative, and it's part of our compassion ministry. Knowing the food needs and the statistics in the East Valley, my dream is to build a coalition with partners in the East Valley and have our church be a very meaningful contributor. By having a building and a base close to this, we will be able to achieve this much more quickly and easily. We hope to be able to be a quality and vibrant part of your connected neighborhood. We began and have roots in Indio, and I think this is the place where we can spread our wings and shine our light. So I really pray that you will vote affirmatively to accept this proposal. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Okay. And at this time, I'll call upon Mr. Martin Jacobus. 1 second. Mr. Jacobus, can you hear us?
Yes, am I on?
You're on. We can hear you. You have 3 minutes. You may begin.
Thank you very much for having me and letting me speak. My name is Marty Jacobus, and my wife Barb and I live in Estacio on 49th between Jefferson and Madison. And I bought our house in 2009. And so for the past 12 or so years, I've driven by the historic home at the corner of 49th and Jefferson, and the vacant piece of property that was there. And I've often asked myself what would happen and what kind of a development would actually be there. And I have spent quite a bit of time reviewing the general plan and some of the revisions to those general plans that the Red Door submitted. And I've listened to a lot of the objections that have happened in some of your previous meetings and then again tonight. But I also believe that the church has carefully addressed especially the traffic issue. And I also fully believe that anything that was raised today in terms of a objection will be dealt with properly and correctly as well. Like the previous speaker, I've also looked at what this church does and who this church is. And Church of the Red Door is definitely a church of inclusion. They support more than a dozen charitable ministries, which has been already addressed. And I just believe it's time to let these folks build their church and get on with helping even more people. And I do have no doubt that this church is going to be a wonderful addition to the community, and that the site on 49th and Jefferson is just the perfect place to do that. And I would encourage you to please approve the project so they can do just that. And again, I thank you for letting me speak, and I wish you all a good evening.
Thank you.
At this time, I'll allow Mr. Don Williams. Give me 1 second. Mr. Williams, can you hear us? Mr. Williams? Mr. Williams, can you hear us?
Yes, so am I okay?
You are. We can hear you. You have 3 minutes. You may begin.
Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to the Planning Commission and others. My name is Donald Williams. I live in the Rincon development, which is immediately across Avenue 49 from the proposed facility. Rincon is probably has several hundred homes in it, not unlike the other communities that were in or on and along Avenue 49. Except we are not a gated community. I want to point that out. I'm not all that familiar with the land use plannings, but what I do know about it, I think I have to agree with the first speaker. There are several very important land use regulations that have been put in place long before Rincon came along and long before other residences on Avenue 49 came along. When I came here, the entire south side of Avenue 49 was farmland, and so what I'm concerned about is, for example, neither Jefferson Street nor Avenue 49 is a mixed-use corridor under the planning regulations, and for certainly the area is controlled by what's called connected communities. And although I'm sure the church can connect to the people, that has nothing to do with being compliant with what's called a connected community. But I won't dwell on the various land use regulations that this apparently is a violation of. I want to talk about how I see it as affecting me as a resident right across the street. One is the heavy traffic with over 400 parking places, and the fact that has to have been many extensive modifications at lanes added on Avenue 49 and also on Jefferson Street. The traffic's going to be very heavy. And the problem that I have is that we have a entrance to Rincon right across the street from Jefferson on Avenue 49 from the driveway coming out of the facility. And I'm concerned that the people will be taking shortcuts to leave. They're not going to wait, 15 minutes at the light at Jefferson to get to turn on left or right. They're going to come through Rincon and then go around the neighborhood and up to our entrance and exit off of Jefferson. So I'm concerned about it becoming a nightmare for our neighborhood due to traffic incursions because we're not a gated community. Second of all, no matter what they call it, there is going to be a lot of large outdoor gatherings, and I think that's a problem. I think if you I'm concerned with maybe not the gathering, but the noise level from the gathering. Like for example, I can hear the music coming from Coachella Fest right in my backyard. It's not that loud, but I'm afraid about the loud noises coming from across the street. And I would hope that any permit, if you do approve this, which I hope you don't actually, that you put a condition on the use permit that there are no amplified sounds 24/7 coming off the property. I'm also concerned about the use of this property as a residential area. I mean, I understand the house has now been, as part of a historical facility, the house on the property is now part of the integrated in. And I see a very large possibility of this facility for various reasons, becoming a housing facility. And I would hope that also the permit, if it is issued, prohibits any type of residential use, daytime housing, overnight housing, any kind of housing at all of this property. And I'm sure it is. And that's what I want to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And at this moment, I'd like to admit Mrs. Judy Seal. Mrs. Seal, can you hear us? Mrs. Seal? There she is. Mrs. Seal, can you hear us?
I can.
Okay, you have 3 minutes. You may begin.
Okay. I am not going to give a long talk, but I just wanted to tell you a few things. Driving by that area so many times, I know that the planning and design by the architects for the Church at the Red Door are just amazing and beautiful. It's going to be an asset to the area. And the planners, I feel, have been very flexible in making changes to the project to meet the city's requirements, and they're going to continue to make more from what I'm hearing tonight. The Church at the Red Door is going to be great in that particular intersection, because what could be better than a church which is mainly used one day a week, rather than if you put an apartment in there, a large apartment, you'd have every day, all day long, with more traffic and things. So anyway, I want to say when the church is used, that it will bring caring folks to the area who will support the surrounding retail shops, the restaurants, and also be service oriented to the community. So I just hope that you approve this worthwhile project and allow the work to begin on it as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I will call upon Mr. George Garza. Give me 1 second, please. I actually don't see Mr. Garza on as an attendee. I'll move on to Mr. Pete Bungard. I also don't see Mr. Bungard. And the next one is Tony Hines. I also don't see Tony Hines. However, he didn't provide a phone number. I believe we are done with public comments for this item. We had George, Pete, and Tony. However, they are no longer an attendee. So we are done.
Thank you, Evelyn. At this time, would the applicant like to make any other comments?
Chris, you're muted.
I apologize, Chair. Chris says his mic is out and George Garza is actually on. Did you want to allow him to speak?
Sure.
I'll promote him to the panelist now. Mr. Garza, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. You have 3 minutes. You may begin.
Thank you, Council, for taking my call. My name is George Garza. I live in 8537 Camino San Mateo. I lived on the Avenue 49 corridor, first on Croquette Court, and then on Colorado Street on Desert River. And I always thought, what a great corner for a church. And I just want to voice my support for the Red Door. I am a product, and me and my family are a product of the Red Door. Want to let you know that the Red Door impacts the whole valley, from all the way from the east to all the way from Palm Springs. The Red Door has impacted so many Hispanic families. I'm speaking for the Hispanic community in our valley. They have been a huge impact in the Spanish community. We're about to, I was a pastor at Southwest for 12 years, and we're about to open up a new church in Indio, and the Red Door is helping us out with all our Hispanic community. And I just want to encourage you guys to voice our support for the Red Door. And my sister lives on Avenue 49 and Malaga, and she is excited for the Red Door to be coming to her. She's across the street from Avenue, right there where they're building. So I just want to voice my support and let them know that the Red Door is impacting the Hispanic community in a great way. Thank you.
And that concludes public comment for this item.
Okay.
Chris, did you want to call the number if you wanted to provide public or additional comment? The number listed on the Zoom webinar information, the details that we provided? I placed the information in the chat in case he wanted to provide further comment, Chair.
Okay. So, sure, at this time, do we go ahead and any of our commissioners would like, or should we wait for Chris to come on?
Are you entertaining motions now?
Discussion. Any comments?
Chair, this is Director Snyder. I have to caution the commission about having any discussions. That's
Okay.
more appropriate for deliberation. If you have any questions of the applicant or of any of the parties speaking, clarifying questions of their comments, that's appropriate, but I would discourage you from having any deliberative discussions until you've closed the public hearing and have entered into your deliberations, which may be at the next or at the future consideration date of April 14, 2021, if you accept that continuance date.
Okay. So is there any question, can I ask, is there any questions to the applicant? If not, do we have a motion to go ahead and continue the meeting to the April 14th commission meeting?
Madam Chair, just before they do that, I just want to thank the commission and staff for their time and thank all the speakers for having an interest. My name is Rich Malikoff from the Alton Group, working with the Church at the Red Door.
Thank you.
Chair, I don't have any questions, and unless my fellow commissioners do, I'm ready to make a motion.
No questions.
In that case, I'll make a motion that we continue this item to our regular planning commission meeting of April 14th, 2021.
Thank you, Commissioner Ceja. Do we have a second?
I will second.
Okay, we go ahead and start roll call, please.
Chairperson Lopez,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Isiano,
Yes.
Commissioner Ceja,
Yes.
Commissioner Franz.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. So no action items. So then we go into study session items, which is 10.1 Changi Square project consultation. And Ms. Rosie, would you like to give us a report, please?
Yes, Madam Chair. Good evening, Planning Commissioners. Rosie Lua, Associate Planner. And today I bring you a project consultation for the Changi Square. The Changi Square is located on the southwest corner of Varner and Jefferson Street. As you can see, the four corners are currently undeveloped parcels. And it is located, if you remember, the old I-10 intersection was here, and now it has been relocated, so it has opened up this area for development. Okay, so the Changi Square has a project size of 2 acres, which is a portion of 3 cumulative parcels that make up the 3.74 acres. The proposed uses include a 5,500 square foot convenience store and fueling station, which is operating 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. Another building is a 5,000 square foot drive-through restaurant and retail space. The drive-through restaurant portion of it would be operating 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. And then the third building is a 4,000 square foot drive-through car wash that would have operating hours from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. the 7 days a week. And I wanted to point out that the zoning for this location is community commercial. So all of the uses here that are listed here would be conditional uses. So as part of their application process, the conditional use would come to you for consideration. This is a video that I'm going to play, and I've tried it a couple of times and it worked, and I'm hoping that it works now. But this is a good illustration of the project's buildings as well as their architectural style. 1 second, hopefully this works. Okay. So this is the discussion portion of our meeting. So if you guys wanted me to play this again, I could. But I wanted to just kind of give you an opportunity to just have the architecture sink in and the buildings. The building A, which is the drive-through building, is closer to the Varner and Jefferson area. This is a fueling station, convenience store, and then the third building is the express tunnel car wash. As you can see, they are proposing solar panels. The roofs are inset, and this has a very similar architectural style to a gas station that was proposed by the Shonda Group along Indio Boulevard, and I believe it was Avenue 44. But it has much more of a postmodern architectural style. And I did want to point out that we're looking at this as very flat. However, there is a considerable difference in grade from Jefferson Street. This sinks in, and I have some pictures of the site if you wanted to, if that would be something that you guys wanted to discuss. So Jefferson Street has a higher elevation, and the site sinks in a bit. This is a site plan that shows the 3 parcels. It is, again, the 3.74 acres, and the portion of the project is a 2-acre site. So as part of their planning application, when they do come in, and if the applicant decides to submit an application for consideration, we are looking at a conditional use permit, a parcel map, and also obviously the design review, so you could see the site plan and architecture, as well as an environmental assessment for this parcel. You'll see here is the entrance off of Jefferson Street, which will have a right in and a right out only. And along with the Varner entrance is a right in and right out only drive-through. They have incorporated walking paths. So this project will have a sidewalk along the perimeter, and then they have some connectors here. So the dashed line are walking paths, across. This is the drive-through, the queuing here, over onto the restaurant. They have an open terrace for sit down, and then there are connection points back onto this way, which is the convenience store, on and around to the express tunnel here. So they have incorporated that pedestrian connection. They have 76 parking stalls. They're only required for the use to have 55. And let's see, give me 1 second. And then they have 1 sign here for the multi-tenant buildings, and then another sign here for the fueling station. Sorry, my mouse is, let me see if I can try here. Sorry about that. So this is, again, the site plan and the elevations. We have the sign here. It's a 15-foot sign. They do not provide any design for the sign. It says it's 15 feet. But there are some sign criteria within the community commercial zoning that they would meet, that they would have to meet. And then the other signage is here off of the Varner entrance that is for the fueling station. You'll see that there is a covered patio area along the drive-through window portion, as well as a covered overhead structure for the outdoor eating area. That is the conclusion of the report. I have some pictures here just for illustration purposes. if you have not driven by the site, and what I meant in terms of grade differences, this is Jefferson Street here, and then there is a sort of sink in of the site. So, you know, the height requirement is 35 feet. Their buildings do not look like they are 35 feet. They have not provided what that height is, but that would be the height requirement. However, you know, there is a considerable grade difference on Jefferson and on Varner Street. And this is standing off of Varner Street looking towards the freeway. And just for you to see that there is a considerable grade difference that all would have to be settled once they submit their plans and go through the plan check process with engineering in terms of what that final grade level would be. And that concludes what I have. The applicant is here for any questions and discussion. And let me know if you want me to go to any particular slide for the discussion portion. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosie. Any questions by the commission for staff?
I have a quick question, Rosie. When you said height requirements 35 feet, are you meaning a maximum height of 35 feet?
Yes. So they have a maximum 35 feet per the community commercial code. They have not provided any details on what the height of their building is, but that is the maximum that they could have.
Okay, and the maximum of that height of the sign on the corner they're requesting is 15 feet, correct?
Correct. 15 feet. They have not provided those details, but once they submit an application, then we would evaluate it for its conformance with the municipal code.
Okay, thank you. And my last question is in regards to the exits. Both exits on Varner and Jefferson are right turn only, you said.
Right in and right out.
Right
Yeah.
in and right out. Would people have the capability of who made a right out onto Varner of then making a U-turn at that intersection? Is that allowable, that intersection for people who want to go left on Varner to? I just would worry that that's being so close to the intersection, a lot of people would just try and, you know, make that left onto Varner anyways.
Right. So they've come in for a preliminary, what we call our development review committee meeting, and have met with our engineering team as well as our traffic. There is a traffic report portion that will be required as part of this application that will possibly evaluate all of those, you know, turning points and things like that. I do not have a direct answer to you right now if whether they can make a legal U-turn on Varner and Jefferson, but I can have that, you know, when this application comes back and also evaluate that as part of the traffic report.
If I could interject, through the wonders of Street View on Google, I just looked and there actually is, it's actually posted as no U-turn from Varner turning onto Jefferson at this time. So
this one here, this intersection here.
Correct.
Okay.
It's posted on the mast of the traffic signal as a no U-turn. Currently posted, I should say.
That's true. There's no U-turn, and for left turn, there needs to be mitigation measures on the traffic, so it can't happen just by itself. So if that's the desire of the applicant, they will be working with our engineering team, including our traffic engineer consultant, to provide those mitigation measures.
Thank you. That was all my questions.
Rosie, to follow up on Commissioner Luciano's comment on signs, do we know what a maximum height would be for a sign? I know when we look at, you know, Avenue 42, the center signs there tend to be under 10 feet or so.
I did not look that up for community commercial. I can, if you give me a few minutes, and I can come back to that question.
I wouldn't worry too much about it. I know I have been talking a lot about signs and sign height, and so I want to be mindful. This site has an interesting grade to it. Would you mind going back to, I think it's your first slide, that it's not quite the site plan. I think it just shows the property boundaries.
This one here?
Yeah. Yeah. So along Jefferson.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, perfect. I can't read it in the diagram here, but along Jefferson, there's a vacant parcel. It says it's Caltrans right away?
Correct.
Okay. And then the parcel to the west, that's just privately owned.
So this is one entire parcel. It encompasses the portion of the project as well.
Okay. And then right where your mouse is, there was a dotted line. Is this the edge of the right of way? I guess further south. It's like, yeah, hugging up that car wash building there.
This here?
Yeah.
This is, I believe, I believe there was some parcel that was owned by the city that needed to, I'm not sure who owns this parcel, Commissioner, but I could find out whether it's a private parcel or a public parcel. There's lots of cleanup that needs to take place here because of that old intersection. And so I know that is one of the reasons why a parcel map was going to be part of the entitlements of this. So I'm not sure, but I can definitely come back with an answer for you.
That's perfect. I think in looking at it, one of my concerns is leaving portions of the site undeveloped. Now might be a chance to kind of master plan the total 3.4 odd acres and think about how the connectivity between the sites may be. And I'd be worried about leaving some remnant parcels that may be undevelopable or unimproved at the end of the day, where we're just left with a native desert condition. So that's where that comment is generated from.
Sure. And as part of the Development Review Committee meeting that we had with the applicant, that was one of the concerns that we had, that we could not just see a portion of the project when there was still remaining parts. But they would come in with a new parcel with only the acreage that they were developing on. So that is the response that we received.
Okay. In regards to the access, and I know this is just we're at a design comment kind of phase, but is there any, I don't know, concern or maybe standards? The access into Jefferson that close to the intersection, has that been analyzed? Is there a separation requirement at all that we should be thinking about?
So this corner here,
right?
Again, this has all been preliminary. And when we come to you for these consultations, a lot of the times there still needs to be more eyes on this. But this entrance has been looked at by engineering. There has been some discussion, but I cannot be affirmative on whether that is acceptable by engineering at this point.
Okay. And, Jefferson's a different animal in that it's an overpass interchange. It's starting to rise there above the interstate. But in relation to Varner, do we know, will there be, we're talking about a ride in, ride out on Varner. Would the developer be required to construct or bond for some kind of median improvements along Varner?
Median improvements?
Yeah.
I would have to take a look at what those requirements are from our engineering. Again, this is a preliminary review of this project.
Sure.
I do have some preliminary conditions from engineering, but again, they're not necessarily firm until they submit an application. But we can definitely have an answer for you when this application becomes, an entitlement consideration.
Yeah. Sure. I'm thinking of, ride in, ride out access, and, if there's not a median or something barrier in place to prohibit those left turns, they're going to happen. So that's where that comment's generated from too. Looking at the site plan, just at that Varner entrance, it looks like there's a trash enclosure on that slope. I don't know that that's going to work for any kind of trash pickup.
Right. So this particular site plan was, I believe, not reviewed by Bird Tech at the time. They have since changed it from the time we reviewed this, probably about a year ago. So that would be something that would be sent to Bird Tech during our review period. and have them comment appropriately whether that is a good location for a trash enclosure.
Okay. And I doubt it, but has the applicant thought about grading, a preliminary grading plan? I'm curious if they want to raise the pad to more or less try to be even with Jefferson and Varner, or how far below the street level this pad may be.
I know that Mark Chappell, which is the applicant's engineer, is on the call today. And I know they have been having some discussions with engineering. So don't know where they are in terms of a preliminary precise grade plan or even a rough grading plan for this project, but I'm sure those discussions have already taken place, and we can ask the applicant.
Okay, yeah, because that how they grade the site's going to affect that edge condition around the perimeter streets, whether it's sloping down or if it's more or less even with the street. Here, it seems to indicate that it will be sloping down just with the length of those driveways on either end. Yeah, I'm curious how that might be done, because it looks like based on the driveway that they're really having to design around the driveway connections into Jefferson and maybe Varner. I don't know if it needs to be in that location on Varner, but given where the Caltrans right away is on Jefferson, it looks like that's where they planned that driveway entry. I think my broader comment is, and I don't know how my commissioners feel about it, but this is an important intersection, Jefferson and Varner. There's a lot of traffic that's already coming. There's a lot of new development that's still to come on either side of Interstate 10 along Jefferson. I'm curious about different building orientations. Maybe there needs to be more of an emphasis or architectural enhancement, landscape enhancement right at that intersection with Varner and Jefferson. And then I think I would like to see, more or less a site plan for how the entire site might develop out in the future. And because of the different grades, not understanding how the pads may be set, I would, at the end of the day, as this moves forward, I'd like to see some photo simulations so that we can understand if there's any roof mounted equipment that may be visible, where utility rooms are placed and how those are visible from the street as well.
Okay.
And those are my comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Seha. Any further comments from Commissioner Franz?
Yeah, but coming in after Commissioner Seha, I don't really have a whole lot of questions. Thank you for that. I do have I think one question. There, we've had quite a few gas stations, coming, to us in the last couple of years. Do we know what the nearest gas station is to where this one would be? Because it's on the north side, not on the south side of Jefferson.
So are you saying currently developed or currently developed and proposed as well?
I guess anything that's been submitted and anything that is either they're building or is built. What is the closest to this side of Jefferson?
So there are two gas stations actually if we are west of this project site. And let me go back to my aerial to see if maybe I captured it. Well, didn't quite capture, but there is, it is not within our city limits. This is unincorporated Riverside County, but it is along Varner Road. It's closer to Washington Street. So there are two, there is an Arco and a Mobile there. Again, this is not within our city limits, and there is no gas station within our city limits here on Varner. And then going west, there are no current gas stations that have been developed. The only one that is developed is obviously the one on Jefferson Street, and it's sort of here in this area where there is the recently developed Del Taco and Sonic, and there is the gas station there. So if we're looking at the existing gas stations, this would be our first city gas station within this area here on Varner and Jefferson area. I know that there were more that were proposed, and I know that if I can get some help from Layla to maybe help me out on that one.
Sure, I can fill in. So right on the east of this project on Warner and Jefferson, there's a tower market that being proposed, and it's been in the work for quite a while, which they need to clean up some of the obligations of the property owner and the tower. Right next to this project on the whole parcel, we received some type of preliminary application about 2 years ago or more, but that hasn't been came back to us for any additional review. We think it will it's probably out of picture at this time. On Indio Boulevard, there are couple of more gas stations close to Jefferson. However, as Rosie said, Shandy Group is the more basically imminent construction or project that will happen within Jefferson and Warner area.
Okay, so then this gas station would really serve all of the people that are in Sun City, Shadow Hills, and people that are further north, because they don't have anything very close to them unless they go to the ones on Washington or the ones across the street. And the ones on Washington are past all of the auto dealers.
Correct.
So it's kind of a little way. Okay, I just want to make sure that I wasn't missing something on that. I think other than that, my big concern is the grading of the site. But of course, you know, Commissioner Ceja went into that in detail, so I will not attempt to do that. But that is definitely a concern. I do appreciate the modern architecture. I think that would be a very nice look and a different feel for the city at that point. You know, I have the same concerns Commissioner Ceja has, and look forward to, you know, getting more information, more clarification. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Franz. So at this time, do we have our applicant?
Good evening, Chairwoman, and Commissioners. We're flipping a coin here to see who's going to talk to you. So this is Tony Merrihew, Chandy Group CFO, and with us tonight we have Ms. Aman Chandy, our future leader. She is actively involved in all areas now, so you've all seen her a time or two here at planning commissions and otherwise. We have Andy Avalar, our project manager. We have Mark Chappell, our civil engineer. That was the hand waving. And he can address some of those or summarize that we've done some preliminary grading plans to deal with those, the interesting levels that are out there. And we also have Ilya Burim, our in-house architect. So we're all here. We're excited to bring another project to the city of Indio. We think that this will be a great corner with the freeway access, with the interchange the way it is. It's a very different travel path for clients heading south on Jefferson, for travelers on the 10 to have the conveniences, for the Sun City residents and those north to have some convenient services. We're hoping to bring some good tenants here, and we're happy to get your feedback tonight. This was important for us to understand where we need to go.
Thank you.
Would you like to have Mark address, or would that be future, as far as I know Eric had brought up the questions about the property, the grading and what's planned there, or do you trust that we're dealing with it and understanding that basically we're bringing in a lot of dirt?
Yeah,
Sure,
that's where my question is geared towards. Are you trying to raise the pad and by how much, or is this really going to be sunken below the roadways? Because a lot of that's going to play into some of your building heights and kind of your landscape and how that's all impacted. So I'm curious on that. And then I'm curious too, whether or not you have control of the parcel to the west, and if you've thought about, you know, what the development across both parcels might look like.
So let me answer that part first, and then I'll let Mark speak to the grading situation. We are currently discussing whether or not that part to the west will be part of this project. We're looking at how we can expand, and certainly, as you said, the vision for what that looks like for a contiguous parcel and the development together. But in the interest of where we are with our current development plans, we wanted to bring this portion, the immediate vision that we have to the city, because at the end of the day, we may not have that other portion. It may not be a property that Chandi Group will be controlling.
Okay, yeah, that's great to hear. You know, there could be some efficiency in, you know, going through the process once, getting a CEQA clearance, and you know, maybe coming back for a design review on some future buildings. So there could be some efficiency if you're thinking about planning out the whole site. But I can see if you're looking at changing that, you know, that's a business decision for you to make.
Right, but thank you, that's well noted. So I'll turn it over to Mark Chappell. He can address what he's already looked at. I know we have Survey and Civil has done a lot of walking that dirt out there, so.
So to address the issue of raising or lowering the existing elevation, currently the site is roughly 8 feet below adjacent grade on Jefferson, somewhat less than that on Varner Road. Concepts that we worked out that seem to fit the grades for the driveways, which is, as you said, what we're designing to, basically entails raising the existing grade roughly 3 to 4 feet, so that we would still be 3 to 4 feet, depending, below the adjacent elevations on Varner and Jefferson. Howsoever, the grades, as you know, on the interstate are well below this site, even without raising it.
Great, thank you. I think one of the things I hope I can get across today, and you are a freeway interchange, so a gas station and services seem to make a lot of sense at this location. There's not a lot of commercial in the area, and I understand these are conditional use permits, so I don't want to get too much into your use at this point. But you are somewhat of a gateway. You know, we have this brand new, the greatest bridge in the Coachella Valley. Great landscape around it. So some of my concern not only is how we treat the intersection with Varner and Jefferson, but how that landscape and how the rest of it looks aesthetically along that entire corridor, and even on the freeway side, what can be done to really enhance some of the landscape and architecture to give it that gateway kind of treatment.
I think we can certainly look at that. I know Mr. Chandi's been happy with some of the landscaping we've brought in on some of our other projects right now, and more attention to detail on that. Amin's been getting involved, and our architect team. So we'll make some notes to see what we can do to get a little creative there.
To add to that, we have had extensive discussions with staff regarding exactly what would be most attractive as far as visual impact to the interstate, and have kind of worked out some pretty innovative concepts back there.
For the in-between area?
Yes.
Great, I really appreciate that. Oftentimes the freeway side of development is somewhat ignored, and you get a different feel driving through, let's say like the Fontana area, than you do from other areas of other freeways. So I want to kind of avoid, you know, that kind of aesthetic where we're just turning our backs to the building. We're not providing a lot of landscape. It's really just kind of a forgotten kind of place. I want to make sure that we have some treatment along the freeway that presents the city in the best light.
That is something we have discussed with staff, and it will be incorporated into the design.
Great, thank you.
Any other comments or questions from our commissioners, other commissioners? Okay, well then I guess we'll go ahead and I'm sorry. Someone say? So I guess at this time we'll go ahead and move on to staff items.
Madam Chairperson, I only have one item. I just forgot. I did forget, but they were not on the screen when I was introducing the staff, which I forgot to mention. Jason Anderson, our code enforcement manager, Rodan Lopez, our associate engineer, and Vanessa Castillo, our office assistant, are also in the meeting. I also would like to thank Vanessa for the last two meetings that she ran the meetings smoothly and helped us to package the agendas and send everything to the Planning Commission on time. So I would like to thank her. And with that, I turn it over to Director Snyder.
Thank you. Just one item very quickly. Just want to remind the commission that we will be having our first virtual community meeting for the housing element update on February 18th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. You can view that on, we'll be having a Zoom webinar format that will also be viewable via Facebook Live. We did send out citywide postcard mailings, so hopefully you got your postcards, and I would ask the commission to you encourage your network of friends, families, associates, acquaintances, people you run into the grocery store, wherever, to encourage them to participate. We're hoping to get a lot of community members coming out and talking to us about their thoughts and ideas around the housing element update. This first meeting will be more of an introduction, but there will be an opportunity to give feedback. We're going to have kind of an impromptu survey portion of the meeting, in addition to kind of giving background information on what the housing element update is. And then the other dates that we are planning virtual community meetings are April 22nd at 6:30 p.m. So spend your Earth Day with us talking about housing. And then we are also going to be looking at July 8th as the next date, again, 6:30. These are all virtual at this time because of the current pandemic situation and the current orders. I do want to remind the commission that we're also hoping to get back together with the commission and the council in June to provide you an update and get your feedback, all with the hope of then coming back to the Planning Commission in late summer, early fall to have you look at the draft housing element update and begin the development of your potential recommendations to City Council. So housing element update stuff is going to go pretty fast. But first and foremost, we want to get feedback from the community. And again, hope you're able to join us on February 18th, and please let others in your network know. So thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. And do we have any commissioner comments?
For the director, is it possible that we can get just a Zoom kind of invite like we do now for these meetings for that housing element update?
Sure. Yeah, I'll make sure that it goes out to the commission members so that it'll be available. The links will be available on our city website, but I'll make sure that they go to each of you individually as well.
That'd be great. Yeah, it's easier. Just click on it. Are we on to commissioner questions? Sorry, Chair.
Yes.
Just one question, and I don't know how much this has to do with planning staff, but the lights at Indio, fantastic. But I've been golfing there since I was probably 7, 9 years old. I haven't seen a lot of investment back into the property. I'm curious if there's any CIP or anything else that might go into the property. You know, we're seeing proposals for Topgolf and facilities like that. And I've noticed recently that the driving range is quite impacted. Some of that has to do with the city's own promotion of the facility, but I'm curious, you know, is there anything coming into the lights?
I'm not aware of anything, but we can certainly speak with the staff that's responsible for that and provide that information to you and the rest of the commission. But I'm not aware at the moment of any planned capital investments, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there aren't. I just not aware. I don't know if Layla has any information.
Same here, but anything good happen in that facility is probably planning division's effort.
It's a great facility. It's a great community asset, but it is, you know, it's packed right now. It's one of the safer activities you can do under COVID, and it is just, it's slammed. So I'm just curious who we could ask.
Commissioner Seha, I'd be glad to meet you there and conduct a study sometime.
You got it. We got to do a site inspection. Understand? Make it happen.
I think it is under the purview of Jim Curtis, correct? So we can reach out, or Mr. Snyder or the commission can reach out to him as well. His email is on the website.
Yeah, well, we can reach out and ask Jim and provide an email report back to all the commission to answer the question. I do know just from anecdotally that what Commissioner Seah says is correct. It has become very popular, particularly in the evening hours, because I think we are the only lighted public golf course in the valley right now. So lots of folks are spending their evenings at the Indio Golf Course.
Thank you. I know that was just kind of random and out there, but I am curious. Thank you.
So I have a couple of items, if that's okay. One is I'm going to torment Layla. Where are we with Dutch Brothers? I really keep hating going to the one in La Quinta. Not that I don't love La Quinta, but you know.
They are still in works. They are working with the city on some minor items, which if Mr. Snyder would like to share, he can, but they are in works. They are, as you know, we approved them, and we worked with, the city worked with them on all the utility connections and things like that. But I'm assuming it's a matter of financing and just getting over that, the thought of money, and they should be going in pretty soon.
Yeah, just to add, we understand that they're running into some bumps with utilities, nothing insurmountable, but we know that they're working right now to address the provision of utilities, water, sewer, electrical. And then, as we mentioned last time, we are working with them. I think Layla's actually going to be setting up a meeting to discuss a traffic management plan, so that we hope to minimize any issues when they do open. We did watch what happened in La Quinta, and there was a lot of excitement, that being the first one in the valley. We expect there'll be a lot of excitement when the one in India opens. So we just want to make sure that we're managing that traffic situation well, so that Highway 111 particularly is not impacted in any way. So I think I mentioned before, as far as we know, they're still planning to be open later this year, although we don't have a specific date. But none of the issues I think that we've described are insurmountable. They just require some additional energy on their part.
Okay, thank you. And I just want to say thank you to staff. I kind of threw a bunch of questions at them after the last meeting, and I've made a few phone calls and requested quite a bit of information, and everybody was super nice, and they were willing to explain it to me at a level that I could understand it, which, you know, it's a different level than staff. But I really want to appreciate that, because I know it's extra work for you guys. So thank you.
Anytime.
Any other comments? Nico? If not, I have a question, and since Eric is on Parks and Rec, can you, I'm talking about the Dr. Carrion Park. There was a proposed art installation, and it's like down the street where I grew up. And so I'm just trying to figure out if there's a timeline when that's supposed to if that's going to take place or not.
So yeah, let me jump in. So we also staff the Public Arts Commission and the Public Arts Management Analyst as part of our department. So in 2019, we did work with Golden Voice to acquire on a lease relationship the art installation that had been previously at the Coachella Festival in 2019. So we entered into an agreement and went to City Council, was approved, and we began working with them to do the logistics of moving that art piece, which is currently stored on the festival site, to Dr. Carrion Park. And if you are aware, Dr. Carrion Park there's a planned park improvement to the park to add soccer fields that would occur behind the art piece installation area, which is fronting along Dr. Carrion Boulevard. Well, a little thing called a pandemic hit. Our friends at Golden Voice have been impacted by that. They have the art staff that's worked there is currently not available to do that work out of COVID safety measures. So we're basically on hold until such time that Golden Voice feels comfortable and having their staff out working. So it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when, and hopefully, as you know, sometime this year, if we're lucky, we'll be in a position to bring that art piece forward. A lot of people have been asking about it, and unfortunately, due to the pandemic, it slowed us down. But you know, the city did work and with the Golden Voice, and I think all parties are eager to resume the bringing that art piece to the park when it's safe.
Thank you. And then there was supposed to be I think a county or state clinic next door. Is that going through, or I was curious about that as well.
So that one, I think I can talk about that. So they are basically got their permits through the OSHPD, and then they went out for the bid with contractors. They contacted me last week, so they're gearing up to put their construction trailer and fencing off the property pretty soon. But it's a matter of hiring construction crew and get all those bids out. Based on what I heard from them, they're very positive that it could happen maybe in before summer or even during the summer.
Okay. Thank you, Leila.
One thing, Chair, if I could, just real fast, we use the term OSHPD. OSHPD is actually a state agency, just for the public record. But for those that don't know, or members of the public, it's an agency that actually reviews certain facilities such as schools and or clinics or hospitals. And they do all of the construction drawing reviews. So that does not go through the local city, the local government. For example, our Indio building department doesn't typically review those. Those sometimes reviews can take a while, sometimes a year or more. So that I just wanted to be clear that when we use that term, that's who we're referring to.
Yes. Thank you. So I guess if I can get a motion to adjourn to our next planning commission meeting, which will be held on February 24th at 6 p.m. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So
There's no
moved.
other questions. Okay. Well, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, commissioners.